Hello humans, it's just Martine and welcome to my third magical Hopathon vlog where I'll be going to the Magic Kingdom. If you haven't seen my previous magical Hopathon videos, I'm going to link them up here so you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But basically, it's a month-long readathon celebrating the 50th anniversary of Walt Disney World. So, cool, let's jump right into my TBR for this one. So first, for my attraction, I had to pick Space Mountain for a couple of reasons. One, Space Mountain is one of my favorite rides. I'll try to insert a picture here of me on Space Mountain. Don't I look happy? But then also because the prompt for Space Mountain is to read a book with space themes, and I've been waiting to read Sanctuary by Karen Licks for a while now. My mom purchased me this book and I've been so excited about it ever since. First of all, I think the cover is gorgeous, but second of all, it seems intriguing. I purposely didn't read the inside flap before I started reading. I read it when I originally got it. I was excited about it, but I haven't read it since. And last night I actually read the first chapter. Excellent start to a book, may I just say. But I had to pick Space Mountain, so this is my read for that. For my snack, I'm getting Dole Whip because you have to. And the prompt for that is to read a booktube favorite. And so even though it will be a second chunky book on this specific TBR, I'm going to be reading A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas. And finally, for my show, I'm going to watch Mickey's Friendship Fair, and the prompt for that is to read a book that centers around friendship, so I'm going to read Husky. A lot of physical reads this week. No ebooks, only audiobooks and physical reads, which is very strange for me. As I'm waiting in line for Space Mountain, I'm going to tell you that when my choir went to Candlelight my senior year of high school, and we performed on a Neil Patrick Harris Day. I talk about it a little more in my Epcot vlog. We went to the Magic Kingdom the day after, and I only got to ride 2 rides that day because the park was slammed. It was around Christmas time, plus everybody who sings at Candlelight gets to go to the Magic Kingdom the next day, so it was absolutely insane. But I was with some friends and we stood in these really long rides. I also think that's why it's fitting that I have pretty long books this week, because the lines at Magic Kingdom are always insane. And one of the ones that we just had to go on, out of the 2 we went on, was Space Mountain. We went on Space Mountain and we went on Haunted Mansion, and that was all we had time for. But I remember us standing in the Space Mountain line, longest time I've ever waited for Space Mountain. It was a long time, but it was a really fun wait, all of us together just chatting the whole time. I also remember when I first got to ride Space Mountain, my dad was so excited to share it with me. I was so excited about Space Mountain. One of my favorite things to do is to talk with my dad about his older memories of Disney from before I was born. So obviously a little closer to the opening of Walt Disney World, and about the different ticketing systems. So if you don't know, they used to have a different ticketing system where you had a different amount of tickets for different levels of rides, and Space Mountain would be the highest level of ride, intense rides. You only had a certain number that you could go on. I just loved hearing about that, and I think about Space Mountain specifically every time that I think about those tickets. So I just wanted to let you know. But now I'm gonna get back to reading so I can board Space Mountain and ride it to the end. I'm 40% of the way through this book and I am loving it. I wasn't expecting anything but space vibes from this book. Again, I didn't catch myself up on the synopsis or anything before I jumped in. My mom, though, when she picked this up for me, she knew. I love sci-fi, and so I thought that's why my mom picked up this book for me. But no, my mom definitely picked up this book for me because it involves juvenile prisoners in space with superpowers. Yes, it's as awesome as it sounds. So basically, this is told from the perspective of Kenzie, and she's a junior guard on Sanctuary, which is the juvenile prison for anomalies, kids with superpowers who committed crimes, right? She never interacts with the prisoners. She just works above, in the command center, making sure everything runs smoothly. Her mom is the commander of the ship, and her dad also works there. They've got this little crew, but Sanctuary, the station itself, does most of the work because it has this very robust artificial intelligence system. This story is basically about Kenzie being taken hostage by one sector of the juvenile prisoners. And so far, it's an interesting story in general, but I'm particularly loving the narrative about privilege that it's weaving and the narrative about juvenile justice in general. that it's weaving, because I think it does a really good job of capturing the fact that kids don't commit crime just because they want to do bad things. Like, there are so many reasons why kids and people in general commit crime, but I feel like we rarely talk about it, especially in books with like children. And Kenzie goes in, when she's originally taken hostage, she has all these preconceived notions that these are the most dangerous people ever, and that's why they're locked up. And she's slowly learning that although they have these powers and although they have done criminal things, they are people. The first thing she has to realize is that they are people. And that she was really lucky growing up being part of the corporation that she is. The corporation in this world, if you're part of a corporation, the corporation takes care of you. You have plenty, you have everything you need, versus the government subsidies are like really lacking. So she's grown up with a lot of privilege because her family is very committed to the corporation, and the corporation takes care of her. And all of these kids she's learning didn't have that same privilege. Even the ones who were in some type of corporation, not every corporation is the same. So she's coming to realize that like she was very wrong about the way that she viewed all of these prisoners before. And there's also some creepy stuff happening. I'm getting very Among Us vibes from this. Like, nobody's been murdered necessarily, but there's weird stuff happening that they keep running around to check. I'm just really curious where it's gonna go. So 40% of the way into it, I'm loving it. Let's see how it continues. I stayed up late last night to finish reading Sanctuary, to read like the last 200 pages of it. I'm glad I did, because now I'm done with it, and definite 5 stars for me. There's a point in every longer book, this is over 400 pages, so there's a part in every longer book where I'm like, I wish this was a bit shorter. This is true, even for 5-star reads for me. Just, I don't prefer that books are long. Even though I felt like everything in here was necessary, I just, at some points I was like, oh my goodness, I still have 100 pages left to go or something. My mind just hates that. But overall, I loved this story, very Among Us, mixed with Illuminae in some ways. Again, loved the discussions of like juvenile justice and the justice system in general, and how unfair it can be sometimes, and how those with privilege don't realize how unfair it is. I also appreciated how this author wrote about superpowers. One of my books that I've been writing for several years now and can never manage to get a full draft of like done involves kids with superpowers, and particularly revolves around the way that I write the superpowers. And this didn't remind me exactly of how I have the superpower set up, but is just as unique as that, and I've been looking for that in another book. In fact, this gave me so many of the vibes that I would have loved to be able to put into my own book. So like, when you sit there and you think, I wish I could have written this, like, I think that's a mark of a truly excellent book. I loved the characters in this book. I truly did. Definitely have a found family trope in there. I liked the range of superpowers. I liked the alien stuff. I liked how the spaceship operated. I thought that was fascinating. So like, if you're looking for a good YA space book, if you liked Illuminae, if you like the game Among Us, I would pick this up, to be honest with you. I really loved it. Yeah, Space Mountain. I love this as much as I love Space Mountain. So that's a win. And the next one we're going to do is, for snack time, we're going to have Dole Whip. I love Dole Whip. Unfortunately, I didn't like know about Dole Whip until a couple years ago. I had never tried it before, but now I love Dole Whip. So the prompt for that is to read a booktube favorite. So of course I have to continue with my read of the ACOTAR series. So I'll be reading A Court of Wings and Ruin. So another chunky book. The audiobook for that is like 25 hours long. So, and I've got a really busy weekend, so I probably won't get any reading done, but that's fine because we're still going to read it eventually. I think my main like memories that I have of Magic Kingdom are how excited I would be to get in and like direct my family of where I thought we should go first and where I thought the line might be like the lowest for the day and stuff like that, because, you know, definitely all teenagers think that's the fun part of Disney World. But I specifically have a fondness for Magic Kingdom because it's one of the parks that like I know my way around, so I can get places without a map, which is a feeling that makes me feel really, really special. So I love that that's the case for Magic Kingdom. So that's one of the main reasons I like Magic Kingdom in comparison to some of the other parks. I definitely think Magic Kingdom is like the top. I can get around this park without a map, followed by Epcot, and that's just because I don't necessarily have the Order of the World Showcase memorized, but I know about where in the World Showcase each country is, you know? And then Hollywood Studios, I think, is next, and then Animal Kingdom, just because I don't go to Animal Kingdom often, and it's like My least favorite of the parks, still love it, but it's my least favorite of the parks. Sorry, Rachel. Still love it, but I have Magic Kingdom memorized, so there's that. Rachel probably has Animal Kingdom memorized. I would probably bet money on that. First Magic Kingdom read done, on to the next. I'm literally like 11 minutes of listening time away from finishing A Court of Wings and Ruin, but I had to leave for something. Well, first I had a family call, and now I have to leave to meet my sister for lunch. So I guess I won't be finishing that till after. In reality, I have like 33 minutes of time left in the audiobook, but I listened to it on like 3 times the speed. I listened to a few hours of it on Friday. I think I got to 25% by the end of the day. I got to 50. No, I got to like 60%. No, I got to almost 70% yesterday, and then I'm just finishing it this morning. I finished reading Akawar, and here are my thoughts. I'm giving it 3 stars. I think I liked A Quarter Mist and Fury a little bit better because there were significantly more banter and or funny lines in this one, but I do have to say, at first, I didn't think I would be at all intrigued by Court of Silver Flames, the newest one, because I knew it didn't follow Feyre. Instead, it follows her sister, Nesta. But in this book, I really grew to like Nesta, so I am definitely interested in it. Also, I'm thoroughly impressed by the speed at which I flew through this book. It's pretty long. So actually, as a side note, this was something that made me salty. On Bookly, the app I used to like track everything, it pulled up that it was like 432 pages, and I trusted it like a fool. And then I finished the book and I looked it up on Goodreads and it was like 700 pages, and I was like, what? I deserve it to count that I read all those pages, because I did. So I tried to fix it on Bookly, and it was like, sorry, once you finish reading a book, you can't edit how many pages it has. And I was like, grr, but I want my like 300 pages that you didn't count. Anyway, it's fine. The point is, it's a long book, but I read it in 1 weekend, and I'm super impressed with that. And I was also like, oh my goodness, how can you read that but not make it through Fiery Cross, because this is only 2 times that size. If I had just put all that energy into reading this weekend, I would have been halfway through, but no. And that's mainly because I haven't been prioritizing other books, because I've been prioritizing my Hopathon. But my last, but certainly not least, book for Magic Kingdom is Husky, and I actually thought this was a YA, but it turns out it's a middle grade, which has been great for me because I started it. I did 2 reading sprints, Bailey, Kayla, and Ashley. Bailey had some reading sprints on her channel, and that's who all was on it. And I did 2 reading sprints, 30 minutes each, and I got to halfway through this book, so page 135. Sweet. My plan is to finish this evening. I'm about to take a shower, and then I'm gonna read and watch YouTube and whatever, but it's only going to take me like an hour to finish this. So that's great incentive to myself, and then I'll be done with the Magic Kingdom. So like, oh yeah, killing it. I honestly thought, because of Akawar, like, okay, so this is the day that I'm on. I thought I wasn't going to even start Husky until like maybe Wednesday, and then I'd have like a week left for Animal Kingdom, but I'm going to have more. I'm gonna have like 2 weeks left for Animal Kingdom, so huzzah. Absolutely killing the Hopathon. It's like an hour and a half later or something, and I just finished Husky. I'm going to end up giving this 3 stars. I thought it was pretty good. I think it tried to tackle a lot of complex things for a middle grade, between the idea of like a single parent, the issue of changing friends, the transition between middle school and high school, and then also the main character was struggling with body image issues because of his weight, which, one, I think it's really important to tell stories about young characters struggling with that, but I also think it's incredibly important to be talking about male characters who are having body image issues as well, because there's not a lot of that represented, but a lot of young men have trouble with that. This is a coming-of-age middle grade story about this guy named Davis who lives with his mom and his grandma. His mom is like never around because she owns her own bakery and she's working like non-stop. His grandma is like very loving but very hard on him and stern with him. And then he's having some trouble because one of his best friends doesn't invite him to her birthday thing, even though it's like doing girly stuff, like it's a makeover day and stuff. So he just feels left out, and he's having trouble with his friends there. And then he's worried about starting high school in a few weeks and what people are going to think about him, particularly because of his weight. He also loves opera. Different operas are like described a lot in this book, which I really appreciated. And He also talked about why he liked opera and how he started to like opera, which I really enjoyed. So I did like that aspect of the story. And I always love when people talk about like the impact of art, and specifically I like reading about music because music holds a particularly special place in my life. Overall, I thought it was a solid read, and I'm glad I picked it up. But that also means that I'm now done with my Magic Kingdom prompts. But before I go, I wanted to tell you one more special story about the Magic Kingdom, and it's the fact that I got to be there when my godmother and aunt, she went to Magic Kingdom for the first time, and we went in, and it was at the point where, this was pre-pandemic, so this was at the point where they would let you into the park but only up to the castle. So like they'd let you go on Main Street, but it was still closed off, and then they do the opening show on the stage of the castle, as opposed to like beforehand where they used to do the opening show on the train like above the place where you could go into Main Street. Instead, you'd go into Main Street, you could buy things, spend money. Good business idea. They'd like have the show on the stage, and then they'd drop the ropes for the rest of the park. So we went, we watched the opening show, and she cried, and it was so special and magical. I think one of my favorite things about Disney is sharing the magic with other people and seeing other people's reactions to it. And that's my favorite memory of like watching somebody else experience Disney, because I haven't had many opportunities in my life to experience Disney with people who have like never been or who haven't been very often, especially because of where I live. Like typically I go with people who have been quite a lot, or like I go with my family, and getting to experience it with people who haven't gone as often is super fun. I also have this really fun memory of this time where one of my really good friends saved up money from her job. She worked really hard, and she surprised me and Michaela by bringing us to Magic Kingdom for a day. So we like woke up really in the morning, like 3 a.m., and then we drove to Orlando from my hometown, and then we spent the day in Disney, and it was like such a magical time. I think it's always so magical to go to Disney with your friends and to experience it with a new person that you haven't experienced it with before, because everybody is a little bit different in Disney. I like to Disney bound, but especially when I'm going to Magic Kingdom, because it is the most like magical feeling one. So I feel like I want to dress up like one of the characters there. So when I went with and Michaela, I was Flounder. Michaela dressed up as Ariel, and then dressed up as Sebastian. And then one time when I went with my family, Michaela did Ariel again, and I was Prince Eric. And that's one of my favorite looks that I did. Very simple, because it was just a white shirt, like black pants and a red belt, but I was so proud of myself. I thought I looked so good. Those are some fun memories of the park. I enjoyed my time reading the prompts for it. So in my next reading vlog starting tomorrow, I'll be making my way through Animal Kingdom. So if you like this video, go ahead and give it a big thumbs up and comment down below what is your favorite attraction in the Magic Kingdom, and are there any fun memories you have there that you'd like to share? And subscribe for more reading, writing, and college lifestyle content. And until next time, bye humans, bye!